Rettinger de Arballo, and I live here in Sedona, Arizona. And I was thinking about, we're thinking about things that shift people's lives. And, it could be something that you were experiencing that didn't even know that was the thing that shifted your life until you look back on it, right? And then there's the people that you meet that shift your life. And then the third one is the spiritual experiences that you have. So the looking back part, I would say, would be being raised by my mother. She was born in Mexico. She's Chiricahua Apache and Spanish, and grew up there in Mexico and came to the States when she married my father, who's German descent. And she didn't know any English, and she was like 24, had never even been out of Mexico or anything. So she couldn't read us the storybooks, the American storybooks of all the, kids' stories or anything like that. And so what she raised us on is talking about our family history. So she told us the stories of our family, where, we came from Geronimo's tribe, all very interesting, fascinating stories, and our family also helped finance the revolution with Pancho Villa. And my great-great-grandmother was 100% Apache, Chiricahua Apache. So I think that's the first thing that shifted my life in the direction where I am right now. And the next thing, people that you meet is probably when I met our mutual friend, Mona, Grandma Mona Polaka. It was that year that really shifted my life. And I always believe your birthdays show up, to look at the signs that come close to your birthday, because things that keep repeating themselves are trying to give you messages on what you're going to be learning in the next year. And so one year I was noticing that, and I kept noticing everybody kept saying, oh yeah, let's go out for lunch or dinner, or let's go on a trip, or come on over to my house sometime. And a lot of those things, that's as far as it goes. We never follow through with that. And what it was showing me is that a lot of times those invitations, or even things that come to us, don't always have to do with the person or anything like that. It has to do with the universe bringing you an opportunity, something that you have to experience and grow from. So that year, my mission was to follow through with every invitation that I received, and that changed my life with all the people that I met that year and the experiences that I had. I met the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers that year. I met Grandfather Martin, who was a Hopi elder. He said to come on out to Hopi. So I did. And that changed my life too. Now I have friends all over Hopi. Just sometimes your teachers are just your friends. I think that we learn from everybody around us. But some people, your relationships are a little more profound than others. So the other thing that I was saying, the third thing that shifts your life is the spiritual experiences. And I'd say one thing that shifted, there's been many, the ceremonies that I've gone to, all the, Indigenous elders that I've hosted for events, all those things have shifted my life. But there's one spiritual experience that I was going to share when I was about 18 years old. Actually, I was homeless, living on the street at the time. I left my home in Albuquerque and New Mexico, and I took off with this traveling show and went traveling. A couple people, vans that set up like homes. I left them, and then I ended up homeless in Eugene, Oregon, and just started hitchhiking around and just figuring my life out at the time. And then I ended up meeting this lady that wanted me to go to this commune with her called the Love Family. And it was cultish for sure. It was absolutely very cultish, But I went there and it was like some fantasy land, like everybody's gardening and all this. And I wasn't religious at all. And so I just, my brother is very religious, and it actually turned me away from it because he was so strong with it. And I had to have my experiences myself to understand things, and not just because somebody tells me believe this. And I hadn't had the experiences like he had, so I kind of even shied away from like the church environment. But I was spiritual. I mean, I believed in different. I believed that there's something greater than us. I knew we're spirits. I knew I was spiritual in a different way. Anyways, and I lived in this commune. I was on a ranch, like a 300-acre ranch in Washington. And there was somebody that brought the sickness into the commune, hepatitis. And it was the low-grade hepatitis, but we lived like in big army tents. We just set them up like on platforms and made them into houses and stuff. No electricity or anything like that, running water. So there's like 2 tents of people like quarantined, and I was in there. And one day I wasn't feeling good, and I wasn't feeling good the whole time, but especially I really wasn't feeling good this one day, and I really just needed to lay down. So I went and laid down, and I just heard this bell. Just goes ding, and all of a sudden I went out of my body, and I was just going up and up and up pretty fast, really just out of my body. And all of a sudden I saw this golden triangle, just huge. I mean, it was like so big and bright, and it was gold, and it was like this white light just coming out of the back of it. The white light was so bright I could barely see these where I was, or the shapes of things that were around me. But I felt like I was up there, like in the middle of the universe. And as I was going up and all the way down, faster than I could possibly say with my mouth, it said, "See only God, see only God, see only God." And then there's this golden triangle, like, is that God? But it was profound, and I was just, I had my arms open and my legs open like that, like kind of spread out in my arms. So I was just like hanging in the middle of the universe, just looking at this thing. And the entire time it just said, "See only God, see only God, see only God." And then I came back down into my body, and I could feel my spirit moving into my body. It was a very interesting feeling. And then all of a sudden that bell rang again, ding. And I was like, what was that? I just like, like I was just couldn't figure out what had just happened. Like, was it because I'm sick, or did something else happen? Did this really happen? What does that mean? That golden triangle, see only God. Like, I'm still figuring out what God is. And I was only, young, very young, just barely coming out of my teens, And about a week later, I was released out of that quarantine. And I opened up. I saw somebody in front of me. We were just sitting around like a wood stove in the morning having our coffee. And in front of me, somebody had the Life magazine, those big ones. And he just opened up like slow motion, opened it up, and it was like a double page of picture that the astronauts took on the moon. And this was exactly where I was. I think for my whole life it'll probably be something that I learn about. And I feel like where it was talking about see only God, I think that just meant to follow that path, you know, to always listen to your inner self too, which is, you know, we're all part of the big universal picture. We're all connected to each other. Like Grandmother Agnes in 13 Grandmothers says, she said, we're just a bunch of sacks of water walking around, you know. So it's like we're relating to each other through our water. You know, how long has water been used? Like you put your energy into water and it shifts. Like how long has holy water been around? Since ancient times, we know that water responds to our thoughts. And that's why I love that movie on YouTube so much called Water, the Great Mystery. It's my favorite water movie. And it's scientists from all over the world, not only Dr. Emoto, who is very well known for that work, but many other scientists come together and do experiments on how water responds to our thoughts. And at the end, it was doing experiments on how we relate to each other through our water. So I thought you know, there's so much to that. People I meet, you know, in my daily life shift my life every day. And we don't always have to learn from, you know, some spiritual leader or anything. We can learn from everyday people, from our animals, from our experiences just connecting to the land, connecting to spirit, connecting to ourselves. And also I feel like that see only God is like, just do the right thing. You know, do the right thing and just follow your path, because that's what we're here for, to work on ourselves. This is our opportunity here to do those difficult lessons. You know, sometimes it's like, I can't do it, or I'm not good enough, or how can I do that, you know. Those are the mind, the function of the mind. So our spirit has to guide the mind like a parent guides a child on how we want to present ourselves in the world, how we want to be to ourselves and others. And again, with that water, the thoughts that we think to ourselves is affecting our own water. They say that the highest vibration for water is love and gratitude. If we could just have that for ourselves, we'd be very different people. You know, a lot of people would be very different if we just continue to offer ourselves compassion, love, and gratitude. I think that when we really start paying attention to the thoughts that we have and kind of open ourselves up to the possibility that we are receiving messages all the time, and that our intuitive thought's always the first thought. You know, the second thought's discounting the intuitive thought, our mind discounting it. And so it's about slowing down and listening to ourselves. And a lot of us hear those messages, but we don't do anything about it. I send out the challenge to follow through with all of your intuitive thoughts and see if that doesn't change your life.